What's up, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of Retro Encounter. As always, I am Josh Curry. With me is Mike Sollosi.
Fuck you, Josh.
Awesome. And Chris Gebauer.
Oh, you made me do it. That's so unfortunate.
Yeah, that's why I thought Mike could at least be professional, but apparently...
No. We're throwing out what semblance of professionalism we used to have on this podcast.
We sometimes show.
There wasn't much to throw out.
No, this is... Yeah, we're gonna get a little bit explicit.
Yes, so...
This time.
Traditionally, we try very hard not to swear. We try to not be vulgar. We had a conversation before we recorded this and decided because of the source material, kind of comes part and parcel with it. So with that, we are going to talk about South Park: The Stick of Truth, and if you have small children around you, or your parents...
Then I'm sorry already.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We already messed that up.
I should have put the disclaimer in before I introduced you. I apologize. But yeah, we're gonna be a little fun today.
It's gonna be a good little jaunt.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice of adjective there.
It's gonna be a nice little sojourn into the town of South Park, Colorado. Join us today as we take our first steps. Sorry, I got carried away.
I've actually been to the town of South Park, Colorado.
Wait,
I
it
know
actually
my
exists?
friend's from there.
Yeah, no, I have an aunt and uncle that live in Boulder, where the university is, and South Park is just a tiny, cute little suburb next to Boulder. And I read this a while ago, but Trey Parker, one of the creators of South Park, is also from Boulder. And when he was a kid, all the kids used to think that all the weirdos lived in South Park. So and just that idea from when he was a small child is why he decided to make the show about South Park.
That's super messed up, but I love it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that Christmas special, we would not have a lot of laughter.
That's right. Yeah, it was the Santa versus Jesus thing.
Yeah.
Like a digital Christmas card from the mid-90s. I didn't see that. I didn't
VHS
see that.
tape that got passed around Hollywood if it got them a career.
Right. I didn't see that until the show was several seasons in, but
same here.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
So, has everyone here? Are we all fans of the show? Do we all watch the show?
I wasn't when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm young enough that when it was out, my mom was like, "Oh no, that's terrible. It's gonna
Yeah,
rot your
happened to me
mind." So I missed the kind of beginning. Sadly, I think my first episode I ever saw of it was the World of Warcraft one.
Sadly, it's a
Wow.
fantastic episode.
That's like after the show had been out for over 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I more
back
mean by sadly is it was just so late. It was a great first episode because it was so relatable, it was so easy to understand. It was really well done. But that was kind of like my first go into it.
The end of the world. Warcraft.
And then I toyed with it, but I wasn't like a huge fan, just like casually enjoyed it. And it wasn't until like 4 years ago now. So the more recent stuff, and that's where I was like, this is unbelievably fantastic. Getting involved in Coon and Friends and all that type of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I've like slowly been going back and watching all the original stuff.
So, kind of similar. My parents didn't really like all the swearing, but my older siblings would every once in a while, let me sneak episodes that were recorded on VHS. And I remember watching the Chimpokomon episode for the first time and having my mind blown by how funny and perfect it was. Especially with all the goofy ads that they parody in the middle. I'm thinking of every crappy 90s toy. That episode I thought was the single funniest thing, and I was so desperate for any time I could watch the show. And then when the movie came out, I saw it at a friend's place, and I still think it's one of the funniest films, period. And I love it desperately. And I've actually attended many parties where it's just people singing along to that movie and doing debaucherous things. Super fun, happy times. I love South Park. And this game is just the most perfect encapsulation of fandom and video game mechanics. I just love it. It's great. The show's hilarious.
South Park is really special. I mean, I went to college when South Park was in its 8th to 11th seasons or thereabouts. So like it was like a tradition. Everyone because my suite had the best, excuse me, had the biggest TV in the hall. We would have like 20 dudes from the hall all come into our room at on Wednesdays at 9:30, and we would all watch it together. Multiple dudes had between everyone there. We had every previous season on DVD. So I definitely watched most, if not all, of the first 12 seasons over my years in college. But before then, I definitely remember like I would see them on sleepovers and stuff because I think I'm a few years older than you guys. But South Park came out when I was in elementary school, and it was something I was not supposed to watch. But I did watch it with my friends on occasion. I think the first episode I saw was the Pink Eye episode, where where like there's like where Pink Eye is turning people into ravenous zombies. And I remember thinking this, and it's not maybe a great episode.
No, it's just it's fun.
Right, yeah, but I didn't totally understand it. But, I would watch more and more of it over the years, realize, the parody elements of the show and how good it really was. And by the time I was in high school and college, it was my favorite cartoon probably. Because what was the competition in college? Family Guy? It's like South Park demolishes Family Guy. But it's a fucking hilarious cartoon, and this game, my expectations were fairly high going in because I know it was like it had a reputation for if you like the show you'll like the game sort of thing, and so and I like the show, of course, even though I haven't seen much of the past 3 or 4 years, but whenever I do see it, I still like it.
Yeah.
So my expectations were fairly high, but I was just blown away by this game. It is so funny and so true to the spirit of the show, and if you're in the center,
shockingly funny.
Yeah, if you're
surprising.
If you're in the center of the Venn diagram of South Park fans and RPG fans, this is an absolute must-play game. It is so good. I got to where we agreed to have a stopping point, and then I couldn't stop. I did a few side quest things after that because I didn't want to stop playing it. It's been I've had to exercise some self-control not playing this over the past 5 or 6 days since I got pretty early to the stopping point pretty early.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Josh, go.
I think it's been the most easily played through game of any of the games we've played.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like definitely, it's kind of hard because we've played Gone Home, which it's so short. You get dragged through it, and even if you don't want to play through it, it's over all of a sudden. Yeah, hello, that happened. But anything that's more than a couple hours of the games that we've covered, I feel like this just it smoothly just moves along. It's so enjoyable. It is hilarious.
It has a very gentle curve in terms of you don't really need to grind. Maybe for some side bosses and quests, you might be a little underleveled, but other than that, the game does a very good job of keeping the pace moving.
And so it does almost that TV thing where when TV shows are really super smart, where they put the credits on the side and they just start the next episode. You're like, oh, I'm stuck in this episode now. Yeah. And that's kind of how the missions or the quests go. Is well, I just finished this, but by having this conversation, it immediately starts in something else. And it's well, now I have to see this through. And you just all of a sudden get dragged across. And it's I was going to play 1 or 2 missions, and I just finished a whole day.
And suddenly it's 3 in the morning.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, it's not a very long game, so that I think it took me maybe 10 or 11 hours to finish the first 2 days. Oh, we should mention the game is divided into 3 days of story.
Yes,
right. And we played through the end of the second day.
Correct. Yeah. So it took me maybe say a dozen hours to go through the first 2 days, and I did a lot of side quests in those 12 hours. And also, the plot is funny and compelling enough that you really want to keep playing, to the next plot point when you finished a story chunk, and none of it really drags. Maybe the longest, most annoying dungeon is probably the sewer, or at least for me it was.
Yeah, that one drags on, and there's just a lot of backtracking or sidetracking there.
Yeah, so but I mean that's not even a very long dungeon by RPG standards. So it's the game flows really nicely. It's the plot is fun enough that you want to keep playing, and it's easy to pick up and play like this. this probably is the easiest game to finish that we've done in Retro Encounter for all of those reasons, and it is super fun so far. Oh man, what do we talk about next, guys? Come
Well,
on.
I mean, how about that? It's fun, and it's really. I mean, this is a game that parodies everything we've grown up understanding about RPGs.
Oh, it's so fantastic. Just,
Everything.
like,
I mean, the fact that it starts with like PowerPoints, PP, and Clyde laughs. The Carmen's like, "Fuck you, Clyde. Do you have a better name for it? It's PP. I'm the king." It's like, yeah, you just accept it because that's what the game tells you it is.
or when
and,
Kenny,
and it's PP and Earthbound too, so it's not
Exactly.
like it's not like it's unfounded.
it's like
exactly. It's the best.
Kenny gets stolen or kidnapped, and like any normal person, I walk through the house that I finally reached the point where he's been kidnapped and supposedly being raped, and I'm wandering around. I was
Yeah.
like, I gotta open this drawer, I gotta open this drawer, and Butters with me is like, oh no, it's fine, just open the doors. Kenny will just wait and be raped. I'm like, and so I stopped. I was like, wait, what? And I sat there, and he's like, oh, just sit there. I guess we're not playing a game or anything now. I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's so self-aware.
The commentary in game is phenomenal.
It,
Like-
it's so good.
It's
really
yeah,
good.
it's just astounding to me that they did such a loving job with the smallest of details. That you look in Cartman's closet, and it's Osimo. It's the beefcake shirt.
Osimo is one of my
It's-
favorite episodes of the show.
Yeah, and
It's-
and
it's
that
so
his
good.
closet has the Faith Plus One Myrrh album sitting there. Like it has
Oh.
everything in the closet, and that could take you 2 seconds to look in, or you could spend 10 minutes noticing every little detail, and it's totally irrelevant to the game, but it's there.
Or
And
I picked up as an item the poop that took a pee.
Yes,
I was like, yes.
there's
Yeah,
dozens
right
of
in my
copies of
pocket.
that book around, and you pick up junk items a lot in this game, just items that are just dropped by enemies or found in random places that you sell for small amounts of money. And across these junk items, there are dozens of references.
Yep.
Like in the nightstand in Stan's parents' room, there's the USB drive that has the Sword of a Thousand
Yeah, the
Truths
sword-
on it from the World of Warcraft episode. And shoot, I'm trying to think of others.
You get the Faith Plus One CDs all the time,
Right.
just
you,
because.
you get poop that took a pee all the time. You get you see Okama Game Spheres occasionally.
Yes,
Those are, I think, $2. Those are on the expensive side.
and of course you're collecting Chim Pokemon.
Yeah. Chin Pokemon are one of several collectibles in the game. I think there's 30 Chin Pokemon.
Yes, there's
Yes,
30.
30 something. Okay, it's 30. Yeah, I mean, and the fact that your party members are called your buddies,
God.
and it's just, and the way they deal with how the logic behind the game mechanics of it being kids' imaginations, run rampant, so that like Butters giving you a heal is him patting you on the back and being nice to you, and that gives you health.
And Cartman casting a fire spell is lighting one of his farts because
Exactly. I mean, and
There's
all
no
the
fart
best
farting in
things
this game.
Cartman does a freeze spell, and he walks off the screen, collects a cooler of ice, and then dumps it on you.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Or the fact that the money, even though it works, they make it feel like it's you're spending hundreds of dollars on something like in an RPG. You're dealing with just dollars and cents. You're buying something for $2, but in another game that would be 2,000. I mean, it's just these little wonderful details.
It is really expertly done, and I think one of the things we were talking about before the episode started is it's so shocking how much it looks like a TV show. It just,
It has the whatchamacallit, the isometric perspective a little bit, so you can see the floor and move up and down as so it's not as the backgrounds aren't as flat as the show is sometimes, but but just the look of it and how the characters look and move looks exactly like an episode of the show. It's startling at first.
Yeah.
I had the perfect instance when I started playing. My wife had been asleep, and she woke up to something. I don't even remember what was happening, but she laughed. She's like, "Oh, that's really funny." I'm like, ah, and she's like, "Wait, I've never seen this episode. Is this new?" And had to do the whole explanation. Like, no, it's the game. She's like, "Oh, okay." Because
She thought it was an episode of the show.
Legitimately thought it was an episode of the show. Thought it and she's seen every episode. She was like, "I know, I've never seen this before." why is the show starting in the middle of July?
Right? Yeah, it has spring and fall half seasons. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, exactly. So, but and it's one of those things. It's like that to somebody that's just like a passerby. Like it fully catches them off guard. And then with that, then she just watched. She sat and watched the entire game that I've been playing.
Because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It really is one of the funniest games because you're playing what amounts to almost a season's worth plus of the show. Like the game is a season almost in terms of length of just material.
Amount of content.
And it's all well written. Well, especially if you love that humor and that style, it's just nonstop. But it's really, for me, I don't think I've laughed out loud that as genuinely as I have with a game, except for with Stick of Truth. You know, there's funny moments in games or clever things, but this is just batshit hilarious all the time.
Yeah,
Whether it be summoning Jesus to murder people with an M16. Oh, and also Finding Jesus, which is one of my favorite side quests ever. Just walking into a church and having Jesus hide behind pews going, tee!
Right.
And then you have to find him. It's the best. Have you found Jesus? But really, have you? Or Mr. Slave. You guys get Mr. Slave?
Yeah, I got Mr. Slave, and you have to recruit him as a summon. You have to pick up his package at the post office. So they say Mr. Slave's package a lot, which is already funny. But if you're hanging around his house, he goes, they mixed up my package with Mrs. Cartman's. I guess we shop at a lot of the same places. And it's just like little touches like that. I'm chuckling at almost all of the background dialogue in this game. And it's true that any well-written game or even movie or TV show will have moments of levity. Like everything, and anything well-written has to have some not even if it's not a joke, at least something, something funny in it sometimes. But this game is it's like an episode of the show. The jokes are relentless, and they're very funny, and I could not believe how much I was laughing at both the big moments of the game and the the side conversations and item descriptions in the game. This is it's like comedy writing is hard, and comedy writing in games is hard and uncommon, but this is maybe the funniest game I've ever played.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I really feel comfortable saying that, and that's nuts to think that. I mean, it makes sense that it would be Matt and Trey making that happen, but it's crazy. It's just alarming and kind of shocking every time, you laugh for 20 minutes. You're like, I'm playing a game. This doesn't happen. This is not what normally happens. Usually I get frustrated because some guy just cast some crazy spell and broke the game, and I have to go back and start over again after a 20-minute boss battle. Not laughing hysterically because Jimmy can't say, "Are you prepared to face your destiny?"
And you have to you can say, "Stop him."
I know. Well, yeah. No, skip it.
Skip it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have to. And well, in Jimmy's side quest, where you have to find a flute at a farm.
Yes.
You actually aren't allowed to skip, and you have to listen to him stutter for 90 seconds. So the game teaches you, I can skip dialogue, especially when Jimmy is stuttering for a long period of time and I don't need to hear it, and then they take that away from you, just for the uncomfortable laugh. It's great. Oh man. And how about Timmy's travel service? Timmy Fast Travel.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Because Timmy can get annoying if they overuse him on the show, but this is just right. They found just the right amount of Timmy.
Yeah, it's like all they would need is a Lord of the Underworld song, and then you're good. Like that's just it.
Oh god. Okay. Speaking as a South Park fan, I'm a little disappointed that there isn't more South Parky music, because both the South Park movie, which is basically a musical with 10 or so songs in it, and the songs that occasionally feature in the show. I wish there was more like that, because I love South Park songs. And I think that we're gonna get more of that when the Fractured But Whole comes out. But I honestly think the development hell of this game stopped that from happening. And I'm sure some of it also has to do with who's actually doing the music for the game and what does that mean, and can you write a song for them, and
blah
Yeah,
blah blah.
and to be fair, there's a lot of South Park music that's like in the background of like when you walk into the rhinoplasty
Yep.
building,
Or the
there's
PTA office, or like
yeah,
the
exactly.
meeting.
There's like one of Chef's songs or one of Mrs. Wing's songs be playing in the background
Yeah.
on the radio.
If you turn it on, I forget whose room it is. It might be either Kyle's or Cartman's. Kyle's mom's a bitch. Starts playing off the little radio, his little bear radio in the back of the room.
Yeah.
So they do have those kind of references, but I think they wanted
I
so
would've
hard
liked-
to do the Skyrim feel and references with the music, and that it's the Dragonborn and the Chosen One. That
Yeah, oh man,
it feels like they
turning
just tried to
dragon
avoid.
sounds into dragon farts is holy crap.
Perfect.
That was an interesting choice, but I definitely laughed.
Hey, Princess Candy, come over here. Sir Douchebag has something to tell you.
or when Stan's dad teaches you a secret fart technique, and like he's
In the
like
bathroom.
he's
Yeah, the sneaky. The
Like-
sneaky speaker.
and quick shout out to the sphincter prowess of the main character, because not only can he do all these complicated fart
astounding.
techniques, he sucks an entire alien anal probe into his ass.
Yes.
Yeah, and keeps using it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and can bring it out and retract it at will, which does not seem possible for a variety of reasons.
What,
Okay,
I don't
by
know
the
what
way-
you do on your weekends. That's definitely possible for me. That's some Midwest stuff that we have to do.
Using that probe to get
Yeah,
around.
you don't know about that on the
Just-
East Coast.
Yeah, we don't.
I have to
In
visit you in
cities, not.
Wisconsin so you can show me how to fart with alien technology stuck up my butt. Okay?
Yep, exactly.
By the way, that whole sequence on the spaceship, especially when you're trying to save Randy from getting pummeled in the ass by a giant dildo thing, and it's like the easy combos of what buttons to press, and then all of a sudden you have to do like 100 button combinations in the span of 3 seconds. And you're like, it's not gonna happen. Sorry, Randy.
Because all of the passwords up to then are super easy, and then there's just a bunch of crazy ones in a row, and you just watch Randy get
Destroyed.
Oh no!
like for 3 in a row or something. You see that, and then it switches back to the simple ones, so you can actually free him.
It doesn't even switch back to the simple ones. It goes to the absolutely most simple. It is A.
Just one.
A.
That's right.
Or I was playing a PS3, so it was cross, but yeah, same idea.
It's just like, all right, well, that's I could do that.
Like yeah, so and also on the alien ship, there's those audio diaries, and
Yeah.
and every time you find one, they do like they make fun of BioShock. It's like there's definitely some apocalypse level shit going on here.
It's like,
So-
who would ever find this? Like, I don't know why I'm doing this. There's no one who's going to come by and listen to me. That's
Yeah,
so
it
weird.
it was explicitly making fun of BioShock, and I loved it. It was great. So like, not only is the South Park humor funny, the meta game humor is funny, and
Yeah.
the weird gameplay choices that they make are funny. Like like the whole teaching you to skip cutscenes, then giving you an unskippable cutscene. Like make that whole Randy password thing. Those aren't jokes you can naturally make in like a stand-up show or a movie.
no,
that
gameplay jokes.
that only works in a game, and it's brilliantly pulled off here. It's just awesome. This is. I was prepared to argue with you a little bit, Chris, that maybe this isn't the funniest game of all time, but I've talked myself into it. This is
It's just
this
It's
is
too
funnier.
much.
This is funnier than the best LucasArts game. It's funnier than Earthbound. It's
that's clever humor. See, that's
yeah,
the thing is it's smart
it's
humor in a
realistic,
LucasArts
it's funny.
game, and this is just laugh out loud shit jokes, and it's great.
The other great
Sometimes-
thing is Stick of Truth makes sure not to get in its own way. Like we talk about a lot of the old LucasArts games, there is just obtuse, just crap in there that at some point everybody got frustrated with. This, I mean, you could almost make the argument that it's almost easy to a fault. But it guarantees that you're always moving forward. You're always progressing to the next humorous time. Like
Yep,
they make sure that you are always laughing, and then even when you really screw up, like we were talking about the button presses, if you screw those up, they make the pattern go slower, just a slight bit each time because I wasn't paying attention, I screwed up, and it went back through, and I was like, that was slower, so I screwed up on purpose, and I screwed up on purpose a couple times to see how it went, like slow it would go. It got
You
to
just wanted to laugh at Randy.
Yeah, and that was also really funny. But it got to a crawl to the point I was like, I'm almost having trouble doing this because you've gone so slow that this time period is taking forever. But it makes sure that you're going to be able to progress. Like, whoever's following you around, if you get that like stuck, they'll tell you what to do, but they'll do it in a joke and they're mocking you. Like, it enables you to enjoy the game, and then everything part of it is actually fun too.
And you were right. It's really easy to be able to tell what you have to do next because they tell you explicitly, and you can always check on the quest screen.
Mm.
So it's the game doesn't. I think there is some skippable content. Like there's maybe some weapons and some Chin Pokemon that are in areas you can't revisit once you finish.
Yes.
But in general, the game will always you can always look up where you're supposed to go next. Check your map to find out where the next side quest element is. It's
Yeah.
the gameplay never really betrays you.
Mm.
Everything is laid out cleanly for you, and if you're doing something wrong, you should be able to tell exactly why you're doing it wrong. For me, I only died once in the course of the game. It's not a very challenging game in general. And it was definitely because I was far under leveled for a side quest boss. It was
Yeah.
I tried to fight Al.
Bear Pig?
No, it was Al Gore.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Al Gore, and I think I was around level 7.
Mm.
And
Only time I died too. Same thing.
Yeah, I could not handle it. But then when I came back at level 12 and beat Al Gore and Man Bear Pig pretty easily.
Man, Bear Pig.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm Bear Pig. It's scary.
As someone who works in the environmental science field, I don't love the Man Bear Pig episode because it's such obvious disdain for global warming. It's like come on, guys, this is my job.
They hate everything. They have no love for anything and hate for all.
Yeah, it's true. I'm being just a sensitive butthole by even expressing that level of disappointment. But yeah,
Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy because you mentioned like how clean they are in kind of making sure that everything moves on. Both of you talking about how the game keeps progressing and make sure that you don't mess up. And if you're not a fan of the show, enough of the townsfolk give you hints as to where you might find things.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're a fan of the show, I think there's always that inclination of like, I bet Mr. Hankey's in the sewer.
right.
Because you know that's where Mr. Hankey is. And if there's going to be a sewer level, you're probably going to find Mr. Hankey. But when you're walking around town, you'll hear people be like, I heard this really weird noise coming up from the sewer. Something like some riff on Heidi Ho. And immediately, if you know the show and you somehow didn't think about the sewer, you go, oh yeah, that's right, Mr. Hankey. I bet I can find something with him. Or the whole idea of like finding Jesus, being like, have you heard that, you can find Jesus in a church? And of course, that's the obvious parody of, finding Jesus isn't finding religion, but Jesus is actually in the church playing hide and seek. Or just the constant little things to let you know that there's stuff going on.
One of the most interesting things for me was, and I remember an interview with Trey and Matt like talking about this, is after watching so many episodes of the show, you think you know how South Park is constructed, but really you don't because they kind of just skip around.
This is the first time they've had a map.
Right, and that's one of those really interesting things. Is like, oh, this is where this is. This is okay, that makes sense. And a lot of it is actually like you're saying, you're used to the show. You know where things are. You almost feel at home when you're going around because you already kind of this is here, this is here. But at the same time, there's that confirmation of everything, and it's like, oh, I never would have guessed that this was here. I laughed because I always forget about this, but they have Kenny on the wrong side of the tracks.
Oh, right, yeah. This is the only house on the other side of the tracks, too.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like they do a really good job of being true to the source material, but then also expanding on it. The map was one of the biggest points of that.
Yeah, and the areas, the only areas that aren't in the show are just generic areas that would be in any town, like the storage unit and the sewers. But it feels like a real place. It's not so long. It doesn't even take that long to traverse the entire map. No. But you still have I think it's 12 points of fast travel you can go between, which is very welcome. And man, it's like even the side quests are silly and funny. Like just searching for kindergartners playing hide and seek and collecting underpants for the underpants gnomes.
Phase 1, remember, phase 1. Collect underpants.
And the whole man bear pig thing, even though I mentioned the man bear pig is maybe one of the most brilliant side quests because if for those that don't know, Al Gore is in the game and parodying his crusade against global warming. In the South Park universe, he believes that there's a fictional animal named man bear pig and is always warning people about it. So you have to the side quest for Al Gore is you have to place sensors and some weird like fake technology stuff around the town to detect man bear pig. Then go to the sewer for the final piece of that, and then talk to him again. And then Al becomes your friend on Facebook. Oh yeah, shoot, Facebook.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, in this game, your menu's the phone, and you can make Facebook friends with everyone in town. And the more Facebook friends you have, the more special gameplay perks you get.
Yeah.
But anyway, once Al becomes your friend on Facebook, he spams your wall every minute.
And it becomes so annoying.
It's so annoying. So then the quest becomes unfriend Al Gore on Facebook. But the problem is when I try, it's like, all right, well, this is fucking annoying. I definitely want to unfriend Al Gore on Facebook. But the problem is, I go to fight him in the storage unit, and I can't beat him because he's a pretty challenging boss when you're level 7 or 8.
So you were stuck with him.
So I was stuck with him for most of the second day. And then
that is infuriating.
Yeah, so it was right. I decided right before the final part of the second day of quests, which is going to the school and for the final elves versus humans battle. It's like, all right, I'm level 11 now. I think I can do this. So I went and fought him at level. I was either. I think maybe I had just gotten to 12 or no. Okay, I wanted to get to level 12 so I can equip a new sword. That's what it was. So we got to level 12. And then I fought Al Gore and beat him pretty easily, and he finally stopped fucking spamming my Facebook wall. But just the fact that they incorporate a Facebook wall into this game in a way that's not obnoxious, in a way that sort of makes sense, and
also it has amazing jokes on it,
Yeah.
random throughout the game.
That's
It's
actually
great.
some of the funniest material is those Facebook
Them
walls.
shitting on each other.
Stan and Kyle find Cartman's password and post a bunch of stuff about Cartman calling himself inappropriate gay slurs.
And he's
It's-
super angry.
It totally fits within the scope of the show and the scope of the game, and it's awesome.
I think the funniest was the Token joke, where Cartman was like, I think, Token, we're going to have you be the blacksmith. I don't know why, but it just seems right. He's like, no, I'm a healer. I'm not a blacksmith. I was like, you feel like a blacksmith to me. I'm like...
And the one,
Well, I love the Scott Malkinson joke at the beginning where they have to be on script when you first talk to them. They're like, we can't stray from the script. And Cartman gets mad. He's like, I have the power of diabetes. The power of diabetes is a curse and a blessing, but mostly a curse. It's really just a curse. You're just like, oh, poor Scott Malkinson. Shut up, Scott. No one cares what you think.
Yeah, and Token's on Cartman's side, and Stan is on the opposing army on Kyle's side. And there's one thing where Stan calls out Token for a duel, and Token says, "Nah, I got a dentist appointment." And Stan's like, "You can't keep having all of these dentist appointments get between us, Token." It's there's so many funny jokes that aren't always right there on the page. Sometimes they're hidden a little bit, but the game is just relentlessly funny. It's amazing.
So we've talked a lot about the humor. Let's move into actually playing the game, and kind of like what we went through.
Paper Mario Plus.
It really is a lot like Paper Mario. But before that, can we each talk about what class we started as?
Yeah, that's even better. I'll start there first.
The main character is a quote unquote new kid that you design yourself to look like a South Park character, and then you choose a class right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Thief. I was
Warrior.
Thief.
I'm a Jew.
Yes.
All right,
So,
we each picked a different one.
I
That's great.
literally thought. So at first I wanted to just be tan, which ended up me being Mexican. But then I was like, I'm really happy about this. So I'm a Mexican Jew, and I was like, if I somehow was a ginger as well, like that would be like the three things that Cartman hates most in the world.
You could probably find ginger freckles.
I did, and I put them on my guy. Well, I put them on for a little bit, but I had to go back to, because this is fantastic, I have like a 5 o'clock shadow on my guy. Because that makes sense.
Because it's the world you want it to be.
I think I made a mistake. My class is fighter, not warrior. But
Okay.
that's because I'm mixing up games now. Yeah. So now I have not played this game before. This is my first time playing. And so what kind of abilities does the Jew have? I'm not totally sure.
He rolls a dreidel at people.
No.
Yeah. He also has from David and Goliath. He has the rock.
Slingshot?
Yeah.
He's got an actual. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which
Oh,
that thing
man.
is fantastic because if you like leveled up a couple times, I'm doing like 800 damage at least.
Can it bounce between
and
people?
It bounces between people.
Oh god, that's awesome.
And so I've literally just like rolled into fights and just like done it once and just like, all right, well that fight's done.
A couple weapons like the batarang is one also have that bounce between feature. So
Yeah.
if you enhance your batarang with a fart, then it does unbelievable damage if there's at least 3 enemies on the screen. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I just in proper context talked about enhancing a batarang with a fart.
With
in
fart.
the video game.
And that's the
Oh.
thing is it's this kid juvenile humor and it works. Sorry, you had an epiphany moment.
Yeah. So I have it's I can't pronounce it. It's like circumscythe. So it's circumcision, but it's a scythe. No, dead serious.
You pronounced it correctly.
Circumscythe.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's-
god.
It's
Take up the
fantastic.
fence.
The Jew is where it's at.
Alright, well, okay, I picked a fighter, which is a physical class, and so basically it's a mix of like physical attacks, and I think he has more HP than the other classes.
Yeah.
But your skills, the first skill that you are hitting enemies with a baseball, or like throwing a baseball up in the air, hitting it with a bat, and then
Called assault and battery.
yeah, and then you beat the front row guy with the bat after you've hit the ball. And the second one is just a swift kick to the balls that stuns and grosses out people. Rochambeau, yeah. And then there's like a football charge and just a mega horn that stuns and pisses people off. It's probably the most boring choice of class, I think, but I like having a lot of like stun and defense down.
It has my favorite
Stuff.
abilities. Assault and battery to me is one of the funniest joke skills. The fact that you go up to a guy, toss a ball, swing, knock a guy down, and then just beat him until the bat breaks. It's
Yeah.
just the funniest thing to watch.
And one of your starting skills are that and a swift kick to the balls, which I think is literally the description of Rochambeau.
Yeah.
And also just as an aside, the status effects in this are really funny because there's grossing out, which is like poison, except it also reduces the heals on you. There's burning.
You can't eat anything if you're grossed
you
out
can't
too.
use, yeah.
There's burning, which is pretty which is like grossed out, except with I think the damage is higher and you just on fire. And then there's stun, which is pretty normal, and then there's pissed off, which is like being taunted in an RPG. It's
Like berserk mode.
it's man, even the status effects are funny. This fucking game.
Yeah.
And the
For real.
items that your healing potions are snack foods.
Cheese
Water
poofs.
is your cure. I mean,
And burritos to heal your fart powers.
yeah, and exactly. Like
Burritos are your
everything.
mana potions.
The fact that the weapons are just random things you'd pick up, like, a wooden sword is your starting thing for the fighter, or it's a wooden knife for the thief, and then bit by bit you find crazier and crazier stuff. But it's all stuff that, hypothetically, for the most part, a kid could find.
Oh, so what are the thief skills like?
So thief, the main one you start with is backstab, and it's you just vanish off the left side of the screen, and you show up behind someone, and if you hit the prompts correctly, you avoid armor and just do a ton of damage.
Nice.
It's a little bit of it's their version of a glass cannon,
Mhm.
and it's some of the other things. There's the death from above, which is you and like 5 other ninjas will just flurry in and do a ton of damage. There's a stink bomb that you get with the thief, which can gross everyone out. There's what's one of the other ones? I'm missing it. It just God, I can't remember the other two. I think I really just for the most part just use death by 1,000 cuts and backstab, because backstab is just wonderfully broken in terms of how much you can do, especially to boss encounters.
I remember one of the other names for my abilities. Jiu-jitsu.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Is that one of the perks or one of the abilities?
That's one of the abilities.
Oh, okay,
Oh, that's
cool.
just
that's fantastic.
delightful.
Yes. Yeah. And then Plagues of Egypt. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Oh, this game.
It's so
And
good.
again, and like talking about just RPG tropes and all the rest of it. The fact that someone like Jimmy is a bard, and he'll actually be playing and singing songs, But of course, the songs are South Park style, so they're super goofy and vulgar.
I might have to. I'll make a Jimmy song, either the intro or the outro of this episode, if I can find one.
The maid from Stoneberry Hollow. She couldn't really talk, but boy, could she swallow.
Oh man.
Yeah, but
Sorry. Yeah, my strategy is mostly to bull rush right at the beginning because it stuns people and it does reduce defense, and then just do regular attacks since the fighter's regular attacks are pretty strong.
Yeah, that's a great class.
So,
since it's Paper Mario and you have to do for blocking and attacking, you do the prompt, press a button, and you'll do either more attacks or you'll take less damage or you'll do more damage. Even though it's easy, I mean, it's the joy of playing old Paper Marios in that it forces you, through that kind of quick time battle system, to be engaged always.
Yeah, it's and it basically, the opposite ends of the spectrum would be to just be able to win any combat by pressing confirm over and over, which this does not do.
Right.
No.
And the far opposite end of the spectrum is having every single attack be an obnoxious rhythm game like in Legend of Dragoon. But this is not the case. This is that Paper Mario sweet spot with timed attacks being fun without being unfair.
And having to learn when the prompt will come and how to do it, and then once you get it down, that sense of accomplishment of like, all right, I got this down.
Yeah, each skill is basically learning to master a minigame. And part of the reason I use Bull Rush a lot and Rochambeau not so much is because I'm better.
Harder.
Yeah, I'm better at the Bull Rush minigame.
That's why I use Sling of David. It works every time, and it works very effectively. I think the other ones are actually better, but I can hit the Sling of David 100% of the time.
Yeah, so take it. Exactly.
Yeah. And then, so I set up my character a little bit differently. I'm not, like, rushing people down. I have immense amount of regen on my character. So every time I hit somebody, I get, like, I don't know, it's like 75 to 90 health back. And then so
nice.
I put fire on his attack so that everybody's always burning. And so it's one of those things, even if I'm not truly engaged in the fight, I'm not going to lose most likely. Because it's one of those things, there's been turns that I gain back like 300 health just from attacking. And then they're always taking 100, 200 damage just because of the fire. So it's kind of, I broke it in some ways, I guess.
Yeah.
I have my my armor is like level 4 armor just because it has the most slots, so I'm able to put as much like
the
socket
goofiest
items.
amount of exactly.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm playing it weird, but it's been working super effectively.
No, that's. I mean, I play the same way, except I'm just doing obscene amounts of damage with weapons that, by doing side quests, I probably shouldn't have yet. Like, I have a katana from the Far East episode when they're all ninjas, and it just I kill everything.
That episode is called "Good Times with Weapons," and it's like it's a very, very good episode.
That is a phenomenal episode. Protect my balls. Very important.
Don't fart on
And
my
also
balls.
remember, you are never allowed to fart.
Oh,
on
yeah, never fart on someone's balls. God,
That is not cool.
Yeah, we should mention, in this game, every class has a certain subset of fart abilities. It's not just the mage or just the thief. It's every class can use farts, and farts allow you to make things that are set on fire explode in the world map, and also give you a variety of skills in battle as well. But they constantly mention whenever you learn a new fart spell to never fart on someone's balls. So I assume it has to come up at the end of the game because that's a save the cat or a Chekhov's gun moment. For sure. God, I'm referring to farting on someone's balls as a Chekhov's gun.
You know what?
In the
I'm
game.
okay with it. It's just sitting there.
It works.
Sitting there. And okay. One day.
Yeah. I guess for the uninitiated, like the Chekhov's gun means if a gun is shown in Act 1 of a play, then it must be fired it's going to be fired in Act 3 of that play. So just explaining, setting up plot points in a story. And I am positive that there's going to be farting on someone's balls eventually in South Park, and that's a real sentence I just said.
They already did that immense amount of foreshadowing because they did it with Clyde.
Yeah, dude, that's a great little plot twist.
Yeah, it is. It's like I hate you guys.
Yeah, Clyde gets kicked out of the game right in the first 5 minutes. So now he's a major boss for day 3, and I'm not sure he'll be the final boss. Like, my secret hope is that the final boss is a big surprise, like it's Mecha Streisand or Scott Tenorman or something.
Scott Tenorman.
Wouldn't he be the best final boss possible? That's he's the villain of maybe the best episode of South Park. So I hope that Scott Tenorman shows up somehow, but I'm not sure if he will or not. Oh man, there's so many ways this plot could go. This game's great, man.
Yeah, and clearly for you guys, I mean, fortunately I have played this before, but you don't know where it's going. But with everything that's already happened, anything is possible.
Well, they're throwing everything out there.
Oh yeah, they are. It's the kitchen sink. It is
absolutely
everything.
So I mean, the first night you wake up and you're abducted by aliens. And it's like,
yeah, it's in between day 1 and day 2. Yeah.
It was so unnecessary to add that, but it's so amazing that they did. And the same thing with like, the garden gnomes, like going to Canada, which I have not got to yet, but like the act that it's not even just South Park.
Yeah, you know that they go to Canada eventually because there's a sign to Canada right on the world map.
Right.
And I think actually the alien abduction thing and the underpants gnomes thing are kind of brilliant because even though each of like the very first episode of South Park, Cartman gets an anal probe, is about those aliens, and I forget which season or when it is in the show, but the underpants gnomes is also its own little episode. But both of them basically just introduce special items for you. Mm-hmm. Because even though they're both, medium-sized dungeons, after the alien abduction, you get that anal probe up your butt that lets you teleport whenever there's an alien technology around. And once you finish the underpants gnomes, it lets you shrink so you can go through mouse holes and under benches.
Holes that are everywhere.
Yeah. You've noticed those. But once you get the underpants gnomes ability, you can shrink yourself and walk through those. So even though these are references that feel separate from the rest of the game,
they end up being crucial.
Yeah, and they introduce key gameplay bits, which is really impressive. I mean,
that's just the best. It's fan service done well because it's not just like I mentioned the Cartman closet thing, which is an obvious just 2D still that lets you laugh if you keep looking at what else is there. But these are like really in-depth homages that then end up being super important. So they have to be there because you need that underpants gnome ability. It's not just about trying to help them figure out phase 2. You need to be small. It's going to help you through a lot of stuff going forward.
And I mean, both the anal probe and the underpants gnomes things, once you have that ability, you see these things that you've seen in all the previous days.
Yeah, you can now go back.
Yeah, you now go back and find some new treasure or some new Facebook friends.
Yeah, there's a kid on a roof, and at the beginning of the game, you're like, how the fuck do I get up to that roof? And then you get the anal probe, and you're like, haha, I'm there. What's up, kid? We're friends.
Actually, I think that one is the underpants gnomes.
Is that?
I just
the one in the middle of town?
Yeah, I just friended him. He's on like the newspaper building. You have to go up the little chimney thing, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Maybe there's a different kid on the roof that's also the anal probe. I don't remember.
Hey.
So
I was going with hypotheticals. Someone
totally
will correct me in a future thread post.
Yeah, well, I'm just an insufferable know-it-all, so I'm always correcting people about something or other.
Not gonna argue about that. So Mike, since this is your first time too, did you spend like the first 45 minutes just wandering around?
Yeah, I wanted to find all the fast travel points, and I got started on a lot of side quests, even though I didn't maybe finish all of them. I did an unreasonable amount of side questing in the first day, and I finished almost all the ones I could finish by the second day. I change game to game whether I obsessively do everything in an area or just go through the plot. It depends on how impatient I am or how much I care about the plot or a variety of factors. But for South Park, I did a lot of exploring and side questing in the first day. So I think I might be over leveled now, because I want to say level 14, and I am at the very beginning of the third day. I got to the third day, then did a couple side quests.
I think I'm 9.
So yeah, I'm probably I think I'm over leveled. I did the underpants gnomes things at level.
I think I'm under leveled.
At level 12. So yeah,
you're all good.
Yeah, I was level 12 for underpants gnomes.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that it's so incredibly cool to finally be in this world. And so I was going
after
through
so many bad games from our childhood.
They're so bad. That's like we were saying earlier. That's like one of you mentioned. It's like, oh, it's not surprising considering like Matt and Trey was involved. It's like to me it's super surprising. It's like they've had a lot of really crappy South Park games, and then also
That's true. Yeah.
no
But
offense
they
to
were never
Obsidian,
involved.
but Obsidian is touch and go with quality. And then you think of like everything that happened with THQ and like
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
it's
Chris
a huge
alluded to this
surprise.
earlier.
It's so good.
Chris alluded to this earlier that this game had a very troubled development history because I read an article or two about this both when it came out and more recently to prepare for this show. Their initial plan was way too ambitious. Like Matt and Trey are they're both gamers and they both loved Skyrim and they had the idea of making an Elder Scrolls-ish game where players could explore the world of South Park freely. And it was just this huge game with a lot of South Park content and side quests that you could lose yourself in. But the scope of that was way too ambitious, and it went over budget and over time very quickly. But then and I think THQ dropped it and Ubisoft picked it up. I think.
Yeah, THQ sold it in the fire sale, their bankruptcy fire sale, and Ubisoft was the one who picked it up, and. Yeah, and so then all of a sudden you have to deal with new bosses, have to figure out everything, so that delayed everything by a year. But on top of which, and there's a great, I think it's a Game Informer podcast where one of the Obsidian execs talks about working with Matt and Trey and how, it was awesome because it's Matt and Trey, but how it was also super hard and frustrating because they wrote everything.
Matt and Trey are not game developers, and they did not understand the idea of feature creep.
Yeah, or collaboration and the idea of or they were hard with basically being like, okay, we need more of the script so we can design it, and then being like, yeah, but we don't like it yet. Like if you ever watch 6 Days to Air, the documentary on how they write a show,
so good.
And they've joked about it in interviews since that they kind of approached this game with that same mentality of just like, we'll write it. And it'll get implemented, and we're good.
No,
and trying
that's not
to
how it
figure out
happens.
how games and scripts for games and how all of that has to work simultaneously for creation, that added about a year and a half to 2 years to the game development time. Because it started in 2009, and it came out in, 2013? 2014? And it was supposed to be a game that originally they were like, oh, we can do this in 2 years. And and then the THQ situation didn't help, but it just took forever because I've never worked on a game before, and they just didn't realize what it was going to take. And so Obsidian had to be very careful of not pissing them off, because if they pissed them off, then it would just delay things more.
I think it's amazing that it turned out so well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that at the end of the day, the only negative is that on console, there's a little bit of slowdown at times.
Yeah,
and
there's some weird stuff that happens on the console occasionally. I also I actually hit a bug that I broke it.
Oh no.
So after you go, it's the end of the school battle, and you have to break the barricade to chase after Butters. For me, it was Butters. Yeah. I couldn't get for it to explode with my farts.
So you're stuck there?
Yeah, so I tried it right away because you blow up everything that's burning. And it didn't work. I was like, alright, well that's kind of weird that they have something burning but I can't blow it up. And so I left the room, and then, Kyle left, and I couldn't find Kyle, and then, everything didn't work, and so it ended up just fully breaking, and then, even with me saving a decent amount, and then, with the checkpoints, I had to basically redo the entire school again.
Oh, that's infuriating.
So that was that, and then I wish running was automatic instead of having to hold a button for that. But the bug is, I feel like that probably doesn't happen to most people. But
I didn't encounter anything like that.
Yeah,
if those are the two big, and those honestly are, and I'm not even really complaining about the school thing. I'm complaining about the running. That's annoying. But if those are my biggest complaints about something, I think I'm doing all right.
But yeah, exactly. That's my point. Is that my gripes are small things for sure. I wish that little things could be tweaked, but in the grand scheme, it's because everything else is so awesome for me.
Yeah.
It's just such a delightful game. Yeah. And by the way, I don't know if you had, especially when the game came out, heard about the censorship in other regions.
So good.
Oh, really?
So good.
The blue screen that you can Google it, and it's hilarious that they have for every time Randy would be getting destroyed by the dildo probe.
Oh man.
Instead, there's
you
this
lose
blue
again,
screen
Europe.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, sorry, normally you'd be seeing something else here, but basically just says like, but your country sucks.
I have it right here. You lose again, Europe. This scene where you try to disable the force field around Randy, but instead accidentally force the probing machine next to him to probe his ass with violent force is not meant for your eyes. Randy, in obvious rectal pain, urges you to proceed onward.
It's the best. It's the best. Like,
it's so aware of everything. It's
so
fantastic.
Good. That's the thing. They're gamers. You said it before. They are huge gamers, and so they get it. And so they're taking their patented humor and just fucking with the perspective of gamers. And it's incredible. Oh, I love it so much.
So good. So getting back to the game.
Sorry.
It's fine. One of the biggest questions I have is, who did everybody side with? Did you side with Cartman and the humans, or did you side with the elves?
No, the elves. Cartman's a piece of shit. I love him, but he's a piece of shit.
I sided with the elves too, but I fully intend to side with Cartman when I play this game again immediately after finishing it the first time.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't do it. Like, I was disappointed 'cause I like Butters. I was hoping Butters would come with me. But Stan and Kyle are the best.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're great. Oh, speaking of which, who's your favorite buddy to use around the game?
Butters is the one I usually stick with.
Butters was super necessary for me at the beginning when I didn't have all my health regen. After that, I've switched to Stan just because I have a warrior then with me.
I sometimes use Jimmy because he's got great buffs.
I hate buffs in video games.
I like buffs in certain video games. Like buffs save my ass in every Persona game I play. I have to like double buff everybody. But yeah, for the very beginning, I used Butters a lot. But then once Stan and Jimmy join, I switched to Stan. And now that I'm in day 3, I'm messing around with Cartman and Kyle as partners, and I think they're like the best two. Kyle can deal a lot of damage, and Cartman's fart magic is pretty strong. So I guess I mostly use Kyle in the third day.
So good.
I love that.
This game is just designed to make all of us happy. All of us like-minded people happy.
The concept of a fantasy game that kids are taking way too seriously, then it crosses weird lines, and it's not really a fantasy game anymore. Now there are real Nazi zombies attacking and real alien invasions happening. And Clyde is somehow using that Nazi technology to be a necromancer.
By the way, because I know you played a little bit ahead, Mike.
Only a little. I'm
going to ask. Have you gone to the clinic?
I have not gone to the clinic.
Okay. Then I will stop.
All right. Yeah, I only did a couple side quest things in the third day. Like I finally.
Oh, it's not a side quest. So okay, there you go.
Yeah. I killed Man Bear Pig and did a lot of exploring with my shrinking powers, and that was about it.
Yeah, the one thing I still need to do is meet the crab people.
Oh yeah, I found the crab people.
Yeah, but he couldn't get there yet.
Yeah, do I need like a fart power, or do I need to shrink to get in there? Because there was like I think there was a boulder I couldn't break.
Yeah, there was a boulder. Exactly, it's something you can't break.
It's a fart power then.
Okay,
so it is.
I still only have 3 fart powers.
Yeah, I think it's like a nuclear explosion or something.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I will.
But yeah,
once,
it is
once
hilarious
I
when you go through the sewers and you see them and you're like, I just want to talk to you, crab people. You can't. You're so close. It's so far.
Oh man, I'm seriously gonna go down and like finish the game tonight as soon as we're done with this recording.
It's just joyous.
It's been really good, really good. Which is nice. Like,
which is nice.
No, that sounds really bad. But
no, I agree, because I mean some of the retro encounter games I really struggled with, specifically thinking of The Last Story and Deus Ex.
Oh,
but this game it's like a breeze. I can't wait to play more of it. Again, I finished. I got to the stopping point 4 or 5 days ago and had to stop myself from playing more, so I would be a little bit truer to this podcast.
I just want to remind you, Mike. You played The Last Story and you blocked. I beat that game without knowing that there was a block button.
Oh right. Yeah, I just dodged all the time. I didn't do much blocking in that game.
But there's one boss that the only way you can win is by blocking. Yeah, no, and
Yeah, but this is not the last story.
no. This is coming off of a very, very long Xenogears, and
Oh yeah, yeah. You played Xenogears in a month. That's crazy.
yeah, that was on.
Did you finish?
I was on the last episode because I was like deathly ill.
Oh, okay.
And
Which is
then
another way of saying you didn't finish.
I didn't finish. No, I was so sick that I couldn't play games for about 3/4 of that month.
Okay.
But I played
Yeah,
about 30 hours before that.
If it wasn't
And,
already obvious, I haven't edited the second Xenogears episode
That's
yet.
fine. And then the month before that was Zelda, which
Mhm.
that was a lot of fun and then no fun.
Yeah, the grinding, and I didn't get to talk with you guys about it, but those dungeons at the end,
Yeah.
not so much.
It was just it took all the goodness and it just happened to leave the game.
Yep.
And this is just all of it is goodness. It is so enjoyable. Like this is like the most amazing palate cleanser in the world.
And it's brief enough that it never seems to wear out its welcome. Like
No.
Ever.
I already know when I end. I haven't gotten to the end, of course, but when I get to the end, I'll be a little sad that it's over. I 100% know that already.
So I'm already really ecstatic because, as we mentioned before, the Fractured Butthole, which comes out at the end of the year, at E3 they announced that if you pre-order it, you get this game for free.
Yep.
I am already ecstatic. I had to play this on
I think it's. I should mention you get this game for free for the new console
Yes.
for PS4,
Yeah.
Xbox One.
Yeah, so I am going through at a moderate pace. I'm trying 100%, but I'm not doing a guide or anything like that. But I'm so ecstatic. I am going to pre-order the Fractured Butthole. I'm going to replay this on my PS4. I'm going to get a platinum trophy in it.
Mhm.
It has me utterly and completely sold, both on the next game and also replaying this multiple times.
And the best part is the next game starts almost directly after the end of this game.
And PC Principles in it.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Which means
Yeah,
instant win for
Yeah,
America.
he
right there.
PC Principle's a very recent addition to South Park. I've only seen. I mean, I haven't watched much recent South Park, so I've only seen. I've only
So
seen two or.
good.
I've only
Is that
seen
not
2
good
or
for
3
you,
episodes
Paul?
with him in it.
You really really need to watch this season. It is so ridiculously good. And that's they, this
There's going to be
game-
Soto Sopa. There's going to be everything. It's
Yeah.
going to be great.
The great thing about this game is I feel like in the past, and I'm sure you guys are going to disagree with me, I feel like for a lot of the seasons there was always highs and lows, and it kind of just like, yeah, this is great. Oh, this was I feel like I'm throwing out an episode here, but like Cartman being crap, now I can't think of the movie. Doing the Zimmerman episode,
Mm.
which is like 4 years ago. I feel like from that point, about approximately that season, every episode has progressively gotten better, and every experience I've had with South Park has progressively gotten better, and that's like culminated in last season. This game has been fantastic, and if I'm following that same, like I kind of stuck that in the timeline, I'm looking at how good this game is, and I'm like putting Fractured Butthole at the same like level that I would expect that last season to be, and I am like ridiculously excited for that game.
But that's the thing, is that in recent years, they've actually made it continuous.
Yes.
Instead of it being just moments in time that sometimes reference each other, it's now been continuous. And that's
Yeah,
what's
well,
great about
I
this
think
game, is it's a full season.
I think that South Park does have a continuity that they mostly respect.
Oh, for
But,
sure.
but-
But it's
but-
been episode to
yeah, but-
episode in the last couple years have
Okay,
been just
cool.
completely one leads into another,
Yes.
and they're constantly referencing everything throughout the whole year.
Yeah, the whole season
From
is
the
a
word go.
storyline.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
it's-
I have
it's
not
brand
seen
new.
enough
It's
of it.
brand new in
Which-
terms of how they're doing that. But
And the
it's,
PC
it's
Principal season is literally, it is one big episode that they broke up into commercial breaks that happen to be a full episode.
And by the way, if someone is listening to this and doesn't really watch South Park or like South Park but has fallen out and is interested in this game, watch the Game of Thrones episodes
Yeah.
that they did first.
I think those were the last couple that I remember seeing, and
Yeah.
then after that, it was just occasional ones over the years. So that's
Because-
like 2012-ish. maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about
That's
right.
around when I stopped. That's around when I stopped watching it religiously.
No, it can't be 2012. That would have been like 2014. No,
Okay.
2013, whatever.
Okay. I don't
They
have.
they
It's
tied
true. I
them
don't have a sense
specifically
of
with
time.
this. Those
Mhm.
All right.
Chris is right though. That's a really good indicator of both like the story world that they're trying to live in with their game of
Mm-hmm.
elves versus humans. It also I mean, if you don't know South Park humor, that's the humor that you're gonna expect. But I think even if you don't like South Park, I feel like this is still an enjoyable game, as long as
Yeah.
you're willing to deal with vulgar type of humor.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you don't like very easy games, then this might not be the most fun time for you, because it is easy. Like we said, we've maybe each died once, and usually outside of being underleveled, the only way you die is by being really careless.
yeah, it's your fault. You absolutely
yeah, it
screwed
is.
up. You should have not made that stupid decision.
Yeah, so if you have a pet and your pet starts, trying to get you to say hi to it and pay attention to it, you might lose a battle
That
because
sounds so
you
much
need to
more
pay
dirty
attention.
than it was supposed to.
Well, the only battle I lost was. Okay. Wow. Okay.
Sorry.
Right. Well, the only battle I lost was because I was underleveled, which I know I mentioned before.
Stupid
But,
decision.
yeah.
Stupid decision. It's all on
And,
you.
and also, like, the game lets you use a healing item and make an attack in the same turn,
Right.
because using a healing item is considered like a free action. So the
It's
game
really
sets you.
hard to.
And
Yeah, it sets you up to succeed.
There's items everywhere. I constantly have the issue that I max out on items when I try to pick stuff up.
Oh, for sure. Like just random Tweak coffee cups and stuff like that. Tweak coffee, homemade.
It's really,
I love
really
that
good.
it's actually meth. That made me so
It's-
happy.
It's so good.
And yeah, and you have to bring coffee and cigarettes and dress up as a goth to recruit the goths to your team.
That is a phenomenal sequence.
And again, so self-aware. Like, you're not a conformist, so you have to conform. And it's like, all right,
It's like, this doesn't make sense, but okay.
it's so fantastic. It's so
This
good.
logic's odd. I mean, is there anything else to talk about for this game right now without me spoiling your future?
Without spoiling Josh's future, because
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the Underpants Gnomes battle.
Oh, let's do it.
Sorry,
Let's
guys.
do it.
You guys can go ahead. It's fine.
Okay, all right. Just to set the scene, you catch some Underpants Gnomes stealing your underpants in the middle of the night between day 2 and day 3, right?
Oh
And
shit,
so
he's
y-
awake. What should we do?
Yeah, but yes, actually.
Yeah.
So you fight them, and because they're tiny and you're huge, you defeat them instantly. So they're like, oh no, this guy's too strong. So they shrink you, and you fight a battle where you're the same size as them, and you still win. But now you're on their level. So they escape, and you can't unshrink yourself. So you chase after them in the space between the walls of your house, and to chase down the gnomes so you can unshrink yourself, and you walk into your parents' room on their dresser, and you see them having explicit sex
In the background.
in the background. It is and there's you see genitals and swinging boobs and position changes. It is explicit cartoon sex. So
And a
you're
lot of South Park yelling like oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you continue chasing the gnomes and end up fighting the last gnome on the bed with your parents still in the background, except now they're giant-sized, having sex near you. And periodically, maybe every other turn or so, you have to dodge your dad's swinging nutsack or your mom's swinging breasts, and with quick time events.
Oh god.
But so does the gnome that you're fighting. So sometimes the gnome gets knocked aside by your dad's balls or something.
Yeah. Takes damage.
Wow, like I could not. All right, no amount of preparation could have prepared me for that scene. I was laughing
Yeah.
so hard. I missed a quick time event and had to spend a turn healing and getting back up to speed because my dad's ball sack smacked me to the side.
I did not think they were going to do that. I mean, I didn't even. That was one thing that thankfully wasn't. I had no idea was coming. And there are moments early in the game when you're searching. Like, I don't know if you guys had this happen when you were exploring the town in those first few minutes or first half hour or whatnot. but you can open doors to houses and you'll happen upon random things. Like
Naked
sometimes there'll be a
lady,
naked lady.
somebody
Exactly.
jerking it.
Yeah. So there's goofy ha 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 nudity moments like that, but
Yeah, but not
when
like
you
this.
enter the room and you see what's going on, I remember my first thought was, no way I'm going to have to go over there. No way they're going to make me go over there. They're not going to do that. Why would they do that? There's no reason why they would make me do that. And then bit by bit, you're getting closer to the bed, and I was just like, oh no. Oh no, this is going to happen.
And it culminates into fighting a battle while you're on your parent's bed while they're having
Dodging
sex.
a hairy
And-
nutsack.
And they don't know you're there at all. It's as far as they know,
So
you
good.
are man.
So
This
good.
game, this fucking game.
That's like, you have to dodge a hairy nutsack. What game makes you do that? Yeah, it's ridiculous. I love it so much. Oh, now everyone knows how immature we are, and I love it. Oh. Yeah, it's the best. It's the absolute best.
I will
Get
be
excited.
tearful if the last day is not as good as the first two.
No, there's great stuff in the last day.
Just, it'll crush me. There's been too many of these podcasts that I come in loving the game and I get to the second
Oh,
episode.
for episode 1, yeah. You're like, guys, I actually like this.
This will
Episode
ruin
2,
me.
What happened to my love?
Oh! And the school battle. A butt off with Cartman.
Oh yeah,
Fantastic. Yeah, it's cool.
the final fight against Cartman. If you choose the Kyle side, I don't know how it works. If you choose Cartman's side, is you have to mash X to have your burning farts overpower Cartman's burning farts.
It's Harry Potter but with assholes.
Oh man.
With assholes.
So good. It's so good.
So yeah, listeners, I'm sure after hearing us talk about this for an hour and 15 minutes, you are either just as eager to play this game as I am, or have already shut off the podcast because we're gross, and this game is gross and delightful.
So good.
So good.
Yeah. So
Just the bestest. It really is.
I really, really, really extremely look forward to hearing some of your guys' favorite moments of this. As you can tell, we absolutely love it. There's so
we're
much good
children.
stuff that we haven't talked about. So please go onto the boards, send us an email at retro@rpgfan.com. You can hit me up on Twitter. I'd love to hear what you guys thought. I have a feeling like the three of us will be talking about this long after this episode ends and
Oh yeah.
whenever we run into each other. So it's been fantastic. I think we are going to end it here.
Alright.
But
Sure.
what else? So after we're done with South Park, we're going to change gears massively. And we're going to be playing through huh?
Well, I mean, picking literally almost any RPG after playing this is changing gears massively.
I feel like it needs to be stated. I don't know.
Okay, sure. No, you're not wrong.
I mean, what if this was their first podcast and they expect that this is what it's always like? You know, you gotta throw out that, hey, sometimes they're not flapping titties.
So we're gonna be playing a faux World War next time.
Yeah. So in August we're gonna be covering Valkyria Chronicles, which
Great game.
I'm ridiculously excited for. I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast before. My PS3 broke. And,
No.
Yeah, and that was one of the games I was working on when it broke. So it'll be nice to finally actually go back and get much farther than that because I enjoyed what I had played of it.
Yeah.
So
Super fun.
Yeah.
And the remaster is really good.
Yeah, and that's I'll have to go through on the remaster because that's the only my PC can't handle that. Well, my PC can't handle it because it's a Mac. So yeah, it's a problem. But yeah, that is going to do it for us here at Retro. I really hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I really hope that those of you who have not played it go out and seek this game out. I'm willing to bet that you really will enjoy it as much as we did. So
It is a delight. Do it.
absolutely. Well, thank you for listening. Until next time, save up time so that you can listen to more fart jokes from us.
Screw you guys, I'm going home. There once was a maiden from Stoneberry Hollow. She didn't talk much, but boy did she swallow. I have a nice lance that she sat upon. The maiden from Stoneberry who is also your mom.